Since the B-2 Spirit's unveiling in November 1988, the U.S. Air Force has not formally unveiled a new bomber in 34 years. The initial ground testing for the first B-21 was conducted in May. Northrop Grumman announced last month that the date of the maiden flight will be contingent on ground test outcomes. Even though very few facts are known about the B-21 Raider, as it is a highly secret program, we know that the bomber is a penetrating attack bomber with stealth capabilities and a flying wing design. Not just that, the B-21 Raider is built to have long range, exceptional resilience, and the potential to carry a mix of conventional and nuclear bombs. According to its manufacturer, it could sneak past the most difficult defenses to deliver accurate attacks anywhere in the world. The timing of the announcement is noteworthy as the United States is entangled in tensions with China in the Indo-Pacific. China, on its part, is also advancing the development of its next-gen bomber, which would probably be dubbed H-20. Meanwhile, Chinese military analysts say the B-21 Raider may shorten response time against China if deployed to the Pacific. However, it will still be detected by the PLA, despite its stealth aspect, Hong Kong-based South China Morning Post claimed. According to equipment expert Fu Chunxiao, who talked to SCMP, the B-21 bomber will have a shorter combat radius and less weaponry before refueling than the B-2 bomber. He proposed that it may be located in East Asia, especially at U.S. military air bases along the First Island chain, which spans from the Japanese archipelago through the northwest Philippines to Borneo. However, Chunxiao asserted that the B-21 would still have problems overcoming China's defenses, because once it is discovered, it would be stopped by long-range missiles. Even if it functioned and went back to the bases in the First Island chain, the PLA may target those airports within our range, he claimed. It is crucial to note that the PLA is currently armed with multiple long-range missiles, including the DF-16 and DF-21. It could even strike the Anderson base, as far as Guam with its DF-26 long-range missile. Going by the Chinese accusations, intercepting and attacking the aircraft won't be a far-fetched proposal if identified. In addition to the First Island chain, the B-21 could soon appear in Australia. In August this year, U.S. Air Force, USAF, Secretary Frank Kendall indicated that Washington could consider providing Australia B-21 Raider long-range bombers if Canberra requested them. However, the USAF is far from revealing the aircraft's future deployment details. Can China detect B-21 bomber? According to Chunxiao, the U.S. aircraft may be identified by PLA patrols near the self-ruled island. Chunxiao's assessment was backed by a Hong Kong-based military pundit, Song Jianping, who noted that the B-21 will find it tough to elude Chinese military monitoring since the PLA is consistently upgrading anti-stealth capabilities. At the Zhuhai Air Show 2021, China presented the groundbreaking YLC-8E radar in what was viewed as a significant upgrade to the People's Liberation Army's anti-stealth capabilities. At the time, it was disclosed by open-source intelligence that such a system would likely function by producing an electromagnetic EMW storm which would serve to acquire the position of oncoming stealth aircraft. Then, in August 2022, experts from China's Xidian University claimed that they had invented an anti-stealth radar so tiny that it could be put anywhere, even on a rooftop. In addition to anti-stealth radars whose efficiency has not been validated, a Chinese pilot stated earlier this year that the J-20 fighter was completely capable of detecting and identifying the stealth military planes of other countries, an oblique allusion to US F-35 and F-22 stealth fighters. Eurasian Times went out to our military specialists to put the Chinese assertions in perspective. Indian Air Force veteran Vijender K. Thakur said, "The capabilities of the B-21 are not understood, hence any judgment stated on its lethality would be foolish." Like the B-2, the B-21 is similarly designed for broadband stealth. But Russia and China have been building radar systems, like the NNIRT NIMO-UM/SkyM counter stealth multiband radar system that can fuse and magnify RF reflections to identify and track low aircraft. Likely, the B-21 will also utilize active radar cloaking, in which case existing anti-stealth radar system would not be effective. The expert continued, A counter-tech will ultimately arise for every new innovation. Besides radar, there are additional ways of detection: electro-optical, space-based sensors, and, eventually, photonic radars. I have no doubt the B-21 will provide the U.S. an early edge, just as the F-22 or the B-2 did. Going by Pentagon's plans, the B-21 and the modernized version of the 60-year-old B-52 Stratofortress would form the basis of the U.S. bomber force. Although it lacks the stealth of the B-21, Boeing's enhancements for the B-52 include new engines, a refurbished cockpit, and a projected enhanced weapon capacity for longer-range missions. Chinese military analyst Zhang Zufeng told state-owned Global Times, "These two will create a mix of a high-end and a low-end bomber. The low-end B-52 has no defensive penetrating capabilities, and the U.S. Air Force may have it launch the under-development AGM-183 hypersonic missile from outside of enemy defense lines. But such missiles are expensive and limited in quantity. Thus, the top-end B-21 will take use of its excellent stealth capabilities to infiltrate opposing defensive lines and utilize inexpensive weapons like JDAM." The study further indicated that the B-52 can only shoot standoff missiles and would never be able to fly discreetly, regardless of how many enhancements it obtains. So by stationing bombers and warships farther from its beaches in blue water zones, China should strengthen its capacity for long-range detection and long-range interception. Chinese military analysts admit the threat presented by the forthcoming bomber, the first of its type, to Beijing's national security. China is working on its stealth bomber, H-20, a likely idea hinted earlier this year in the form of two mystery photographs that leaked online, as previously reported by Eurasian Times. Germany-based Chinese military aviation expert Andres Ruprecht told Eurasian Times that, "We know barely enough for such a statement, and I'm sure in the same way the B-21 has dramatically improved stealth capabilities, it still is not invisible, and any system could eventually be detected and as such intercepted. However, stealth simply makes detection extremely tougher, but not impossible. As for the H-20, I won't be shocked if very soon after the B-21's deployment, we'll get the first sight, maybe some artwork, but generally I expect its rollout in 2023. The U.S. has lately enhanced and reinforced its Bomber Task Force, BTF, missions, notably in the European zone. It would be acceptable to consider that Beijing has been attentively studying the magnitude and frequency of these operations, especially near to the theater of battle in Eastern Europe. With tensions at an all-time high between China and the U.S., with the Asian behemoth preparing for war according to its declarations, the stealthy next-gen bomber may either operate as a deterrent or a provocation for China. The remainder would become obvious after the service announces the deployment.